Hello Giga Chads and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going over a Tayam Gigabrain deck tech. Before I do that, I would like to thank all of my Giga Chads for subscribing to my channel and surpassing 100 subscribers. And yeah, keep up the good work. I appreciate it. Let's jump right into it. So this deck is a Tayam deck circled around Devoted Druid and Luxior Jaida's Gift. And so Tayam reads, has one colorless, one white, one black, and one green. And each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional vigilance counter on it. You may pay 3 to remove 3 counters from among creatures you control, to then put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, then return a permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a lot of text on a card, but I'll explain it in just a little bit more detail. And then we have Devoted Druid, who taps for green, and then it also says put a -1/-1 counter on Devoted Druid to then untap it. You can only do this 2 times before Devoted Druid dies, essentially. And then you have Luxior Jaida's Gift that says equip creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on it. And you may equip it for 3 colorless to Devoted Druid to essentially generate infinite amount of mana. So what we're going to do is have Devoted Druid and Tayam on the field, and then Luxior as well, and then attach it to the Devoted Druid to win the game. So with all 3 in play, you can tap Devoted Druid and then untap it to add a -1/-1 counter, and Luxior will add a +1/+1 counter, so it cannot die. And you will do this infinite amount of times, generating infinite green mana. With that green mana, you may put it into Tayam on that 3 colorless side to then mill your library infinitely until it's all the way in the graveyard, and then return all of your permanents, 3 or less, from your graveyard to the battlefield. And you can do this until all of your cards are on the battlefield, essentially. Some of your deck will be in your graveyard, but you'll be able to get it back with the cards in this deck. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. And yeah, the way we will win is to essentially return Torment of Hailfire to our hand, and then win by generating infinite amount of mana and inputting that into Torment. And I mean, you're going to ask, where do we get the black pips? But the same way we get Torment of Hailfire back, like using Eternal Witness or another card, we'll just get like Dark Ritual or Cabal Ritual and generate that black mana and then win the game. And then some other ways to give Devoted Druid the ability to tap for infinite amount of mana is either with Shieldmate or Wax and Wane. So we'll have Devoted Druid on the field and Shieldmate on the field. You will then use Shieldmate's ability to sacrifice it to give Devoted Druid +0/+4. And then from there, we should be able to generate 3 green and putting 3 -1/-1 counters on Devoted Druid to then put that into Tayam, removing those -1/-1 counters on it. And then it'll still be an 0/6. And then you can do that infinitely. Same with Wax and Wane. One side allows you to destroy target enchantment, so that's just situational. And Wax gives Devoted Druid +2/+2. So you have enough power to generate 3 mana so it doesn't die, to then put that into Tayam and do that infinitely until you win the game. Now we'll hop into some of our mana dorks and mana ramp. We have Carpet of Flowers, one of the best green ramp spells in the game. During your main phase, you may add up to X mana of one color to your mana pool, where X is the number of islands target opponent controls. This has saved me a million times in the game. We have Bloom Tender, which taps for 3 colors, which would be if we have Tayam on the field. So it taps for each color among permanents you control and add 1 mana of that color to your mana pool. So you can tap for green, white, and black if Tayam's on the field. Birds taps for any color and has flying. Priest of Titania taps for green for each elf on the battlefield. That includes your opponents. And Jeweled Lotus, a great ramp spell to get Tayam on the field. Then we have some card advantage in these colors. We have Necropotence, which allows us to pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So we can essentially pay 39 of our 40 life, and you would 100% find a card that would help you win the game the next turn, but it is kind of risky. We have Timna to essentially attack down our opponents to gain cards. So as lifelink, and at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt combat damage this turn. If you do, draw X cards. a lot of text, and a really great card. Esper Sentinel. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. Most people will not pay the 1, and you should be able to capitalize on that. Then we have some cards that grab Devoted Druid and also entomb in situational scenarios. So let's say you have a reanimation spell, you can put Devoted Druid in your graveyard to then reanimate them, or other options. It's very situational, but it's a very great card. So we also have Green Suns to search your library for a green creature card with converted mana cost extra less to put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library, as well as shuffling Green Suns into your library. Elodomri's Call grabs a creature, Entomb, like I said before. Enlightened Tutor grabs an artifact or enchantment. You can grab Necropotence, or you can grab Luxior, to then hopefully win the game. Then we have Necromancy, Eternal Witness, and Animate Dead as our reanimation spells and grabbing cards that are essential in our graveyard to win the game. Necromancy, it can be an instant reanimation spell if you want to grab Devoted Druid and win the game right there. But it also has the downside: if you play it as an instant, it will sacrifice the creature attached to it at the end of turn, and it acts just like Animate Dead. We all know what these cards do. Then we have some protection and some stacks as well in this deck. We'll start with Ranger Captain of Eos. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. You can get Allosaurus Shepherd and just absolutely dominate your opponents by preventing them from countering Devoted Druid or other green spells that you have. And then you could also sacrifice Ranger Captain so your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn, so you can win. Allosaurus Shepherd prevents itself from being countered and other green creatures. And then you can also pay 6 to give each elf creature base power and toughness 5/5, and it becomes a dinosaur in addition to its other types. Thalia prevents our opponents from casting non-creature spells very easily. Even Mind Sensor prevents our opponents from searching a library. We also have Opposition Agent and a bunch of other stacks. You can go check out the deck list. I'm just giving an idea as to what's in the deck. Grand Abolisher, it says during your turn, your opponents can't play the game on your turn. So it's pretty good. Next, we'll jump into one of our finishers and another great combo card with Tayam. So Tayam requires us to have counters to remove them to essentially grind through our deck. So Mana Gorger allows us to do that because whenever a player casts a spell, you may put a 1/1 counter on Mana Gorger, and that is a counter that allows Tayam's ability to work. So this is just a way to generate more counters to then use Tayam's ability to win, hopefully. Then we have Elvish Norn to essentially shut down our opponents and allow us another win con to just beat down our opponents and win the game. So yeah, that is the video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. If you have any suggestions, leave a comment as well. And yeah, please subscribe, and I will catch y'all in the next one.